Welcome back, everybody, to the Talking Sportsbooks podcast. And coming up, this is a clip from the current edition of the podcast, where I'm joined by journalist and author John Preston to talk about his new book. It's called Watford Forever, written in collaboration with Elton John. And in this clip, tales of just how hard up Watford really were at the time when Elton was thinking about getting involved and trying to get Graham Taylor in. This was a club that couldn't afford a doctor, so players had to go to the local surgery. So just imagine a Monday morning when you go to see your local GP and find the surgery half full with players from your local football club. The club scout, yes, they had one of those. He was 94 years of age. Training kit was a big bag just chucked into the middle of the dressing room, and the players literally used to scrap to see who got the best bits. And it was, though, regularly washed once a week. And it got even worse than that. There was the infamous tale of the day that Graham Taylor went to seek out the club's physio and found the door to the physio's room locked. So he banged on the door, the physio opened the door, Graham walks in, and he is greeted by the sight of the physio giving a massage to a greyhound. When we're talking about a club that was down on its uppers, they weren't just down on their uppers. I mean, this story begins in 75. They're relegated to Division 4. You've got a chairman, Mike Keane, who's promising no stone will be left unturned. And then they lose to Weymouth. They're off to Darlington. The club's doctors have resigned because they haven't been paid for months. The players have to go to a local doctor's surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, it's totally laughable. You got Ross Jenkins being hailed as this great new beginning of a fabulous football player, and then being told he's the worst signing ever. And on that day, Darlington, I think it was, there's a young kid called Luther Blissett. So that is where we start.
Yeah. Well, we start at the bottom with Watford in 92nd place in the Football League. And there were then, as there are now, 92 clubs in the Football League. So they were as low as they could possibly go. And Elton had taken them over, but he didn't have, I mean, he knew things had to change radically when he did take them over. And of course, he was the first pop star to own a football club, which was taken in quite a lot of quarters, actually, as yet another sign that their country was going to the dogs.
Elton tried to get Graham and didn't. And then he phoned and offered him huge money, didn't he? 20 grand a year for being for a club in Division 4. And he said, oh, yeah, I'm not interested. I'll get back to you again, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he did. And then he was all set to go to...
West Brom?
Was it West Brom,
yeah,
sorry.
Milicic.
That's right. He was all set to go to West Brom, who were in the first division, and they were going places and all the rest of it. And then Bert Milicic, who was the chairman of West Brom, was very, very kind of patronising to Graham, which always kind of, put his hackles up, and assumed that, having had this offer from West Brom, he wasn't going to entertain, that Graham wasn't going to entertain another offer from anyone else. And Graham, who was very honourable, said, "Well, I got it. I feel I should tell you I've had an offer from somewhere else." And Milicic went, "Oh yeah, where?" And Graham went, "Watford." And Milicic virtually fell off his chair and said, "Watford? You can't seriously, think of going to a bunch of losers like that." And in a funny sort of way, that sort of half made up Graham's mind. And this was before he'd even met Elton. He'd been to see Vicarage Road, the ground, which was even worse than he'd anticipated. And yet, and then the next day he and Rita, his wife, went off and they met Elton.
I'd love to have been a fly on the wall at the meeting. So, what do you want to achieve? Well, I've told the directors, we want to get into Division 1. What about you? Oh, well, I want to get into Europe. Graham Taylor's like, I thought he was completely crazy. How much do you think it'll cost? Well, maybe about $1 million. Right, let's give it a go.
And Graham was fired up by that. and because there was this kind of extraordinary connection between them, and they sort of just got one another, I think, from the word go. And there was a part of Graham that trusted Elton.
He knew it was a big job. Maybe he didn't realise how big it was. I loved the piece about the scouting system. We do have a scout. He goes to local clubs and watches players, but he hasn't been that often. Why is that? Well, he's 94.
Yeah. And
the training kit was a bag of kit lobbed into the middle of the dressing room. It was pick your own up. It's washed once a week. I mean, this really is at the bottom end here. He is starting right in the depths.
Yeah, and I remember going to Watford actually in the late 70s, and I don't think it was necessarily any worse than other fourth division clubs, but God, it was rank. The pitch was a mud bath, and there was the kind of corrugated iron, the stand with a corrugated iron roof. And mushrooms were reputed to grow on the walls of the men's toilet. Yeah, needless to say, there was no women's toilet because there was absolutely no provision made for women at all. So yeah, it was primitive in the extreme.
Elton loved Graham Taylor's bluntness about anything. If you asked him a question, he would get a blunt answer. And again, here, the two of them had this relationship where Graham felt he was quite able and within his rights to say, if you don't sort something out, I'm off. And one of those came when he knocked on the door. And again, this is hilarious because there is a dog track there. We know there's a greyhound track. The physio's door's shut. He knocks on the door, walks straight in, and on the physio's table is a greyhound being treated.
Yeah. Because the greyhound had pulled a muscle or something, so the physio was giving it a massage, and basically said to Elton, either the dogs go or I do. And Elton immediately said, right, okay, the dogs go, and off they went. But so I suppose that counted as an improvement of sorts.
What do you think Graham Taylor would have thought on day one? When he's there and he's down pitch side and he looks to his left and he sees Elton in his 6-inch heels tottering down the pitch side to take his position sat on the bench.
Well, outright horror, because he thought it was completely inappropriate behaviour.
That was John Preston talking to me about his collaboration with Elton John on the book Watford Forever. It is a great story from start to finish. And it isn't just for fans of Watford Football Club. It's basically for any football fan who's ever had a dream that one day that your club can actually rise from obscurity to actually compete with the Super Elite. You can hear the full version of that. It's on the website at the moment, or you can stream it off of any of the streaming platforms. The website address, www.talkingsportsbooks.com. And that is it for now. Do keep an eye out for more of the best of the first 50, some of the most memorable quotes and stories from the first 50 editions of this show. And there is a new show coming at the end of January. We will be featuring, among other things, the miracle of Prague, the story of West Ham's European Conference League win from last year. That is it, though, for the moment. Don't forget to head to the website if you want to catch up on anything, www.talkingsportsbooks.com. Until next time, from me, Tim Capel, bye-bye for now.